Trump is sinking his entire presidency, and we're all watching it. We're all here to behold what very likely could become a major part of his legacy. And that came up in an interview that I want to play for you. And there's so much that we're going to go through in this segment. Just because it's a little much to jump right into that, let me kind of warm you up to the major clip, and then we'll cover other clips from after that moment in this same interview on Newsmax. And we'll do all, the first three are all pardon related, okay? Trump is on this strange idea that maybe the way he gets himself out of the Epstein controversy is pardoning a bunch of other bad people. That comes up here. Oh, let me unmute.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Right.
Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
And
yes.
It's hard, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So, I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs,
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about your...
But he's pondering, and that theme comes up. And apparently, behind the scenes, he's seriously considering pardoning Sean Diddy Combs. The way he worded it is completely wrong. It's not that he was mostly innocent. It's that he saw this as a victory because he only ended up being convicted on transportation for prostitution. But the extent of his abuses go so far beyond that. Publicly available evidence proved that. So I guess prosecutorially, they messed up in how they brought that case. But on video, we have physical abuse. Extensive evidence of his sexual abuse. And so your thought on that should be, wow, he was only convicted on the prostitution charges? Well, damn, he definitely at least needs to serve that time. But Trump's thinking the opposite way. Who really cares about all of that? And I'll show you this before I get to the second take, and then we'll get to the major Ghislaine Maxwell related one. But it's always about how friendly or not friendly to him someone was, which is not how pardons are supposed to work. It's supposed to be actually trying to address injustices when the system has failed someone. And Trump literally can't help himself but go, how much did Diddy like me? We got along so great. Me and Diddy hung out, and Jeffrey and I hung out. Did Jeff and Diddy ever hang out together with me? I don't know, but Ghislaine was there one time when, check on your friends, dude. But this is on George Santos, which is not the degree of who we just referenced, but Trump is thinking, he's been really nice to me.
Okay. And what about George Santos?
Boy.
He just went away, 7 years.
He was, he lied like hell. I mean, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
And
but I taught him how to do that, so who's really to say? Trump, that's the other funny thing. He's like, what is he in prison for? And they're like, I don't know, he lied about a lot, which is not why he's in prison, unless you consider identity theft, wire fraud, lying. I guess it's a form of lying, but it's a criminal one, or spending money on people's credit cards that you are using their numbers. So it's more than just lying, but Trump's thinking, what's the big deal with him lying? Who cares about that?
I didn't know him, but he was 100% for Trump. But I might have met him, maybe not, I don't know. But he was a congressman, and his vote was solid. It sounds like a lot. He got in. You could blame the other side for not checking him out. Yeah. He didn't do all those things that he said.
Local news missed it. Everybody missed it.
Well, you could say the media missed it. Everybody missed it. They found.
Yeah, it's our fault that George Santos engaged in criminal fraud because we didn't expose it early enough. While we continue through this, I know, sorry, long lead up. I just wanted to warm you up. Please do go to drinkpep.com if you want to support me, family business and a cause that's all about giving you energy that's good and not destroying your body with the disgusting stuff that's in a lot of energy drinks, but still tasting good. drinkpep.com, and then click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. We'll finish out this clip and then get on the main topic headline. I
found out about this stuff after the election was won, so nobody's talked to me about it. So they really, they haven't talked to me about the two. They have talked to me about Sean, but they haven't talked to me about the two. But again, with him, I have the right to do it. Nobody's asked me, but it's interesting. Is it 7 years?
7 years. He just went away.
That's a long time.
Okay. Now, this is the next clip is a part of a broader context that I'll lay out for you that should terrify us. That there's this justification building. There's these deals being made with Ghislaine Maxwell. And so the reason he won't rule out pardoning her is because he wants that option on the table. Which I hope, if that happens, that will be the F up, the legacy destroyer. As if, really, there's more to destroy about his legacy? Apparently so. Because it crosses political barriers. And let me play this for you and then show you what is going on that you don't see just in this clip.
Let me ask you, Mr. President, just about pardons. I've got 3 names for you. And the first one, look, the media didn't care about this story when Joe Biden was in office. Suddenly they care about this story again.
Okay, there were hundreds and hundreds of news reports about this story all throughout Biden's term. And it was Trump's followers who said, there's more to know, and Trump needs to find that out for us. So both can be true.
Ghislaine Maxwell serving 20 years in prison for sex trafficking. Is clemency on the table for her in exchange for testimony?
I'm allowed to do it, but nobody's asked me to do it. I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about the case, but I know I have the right to do it. I have the right to give pardons. I've given pardons to people before, but nobody's even asked me to do it.
Sean, let me ask you.
It's so much him saying, yeah, ask me. Just ask me. Come on, why hasn't no one asked me yet? Which her family has publicly, but what a bizarre, you can't say at this point in time, you just can't, that you know nothing about it. It's all, he does that on everything. I'm allowed to, I have the legal right to, but I don't know it. Ghislaine who? No, you know exactly, this is your former friend, and it's been in the news nonstop. So, part 1 of the what's going on there, why is that answer so bizarre, is that there is a building sentiment within some of Trump's friends of, hey, Ghislaine knows that Trump's the person who could pardon her or commute her sentence. And Trump wants the whole story to come out, air quotes, I'm doing podcast listeners, that doesn't include him. She knows that. So what if she divulges things that Trump's okay with her divulging in exchange? Now, this is somewhat speculative, but every single event that's happened over the last couple of weeks is substantiated, I think, this path that they seem on. What if she says kind of what he'd want her to say? Oh my gosh, Bill Clinton was all over the place. But Trump? Which Trump? Is this, are we talking about Ivanka? Oh, Donald. I knew a Ronald Trump. I don't remember a Donald Trump. If she can do that, then he can give her a pardon. But if you do that, you're going to come off clinically insane, because it would be insane to not force her to serve her full sentence for the things she did, her participation in the sex trafficking, extensively backed up by evidence and witness testimony. So Greg Kelly is now, and by the way, Greg Kelly, just these connections are crazy. Greg Kelly works at Newsmax. Do you know who's on the board of directors at Newsmax? Like, now I'm doing the thing. I'm doing it. I'm going to get one of those boards with the thumbtacks and with the string, and I'm going to connect all the dots. And I believe the earth is flat now. I don't know. But Alex Acosta, who was Trump's labor secretary, before that was the prosecutor who gave Epstein the sweetheart deal in Florida and let him for years get away with his crimes. And he's on the board of directors of Newsmax. Newsmax has Greg Kelly going, so I just get good vibes from Ghislaine.
Well, Ghislaine Maxwell didn't have a friend in the world. He could have
Why? Why didn't she have a friend in the world, Greg? And she, you know which friend she did have? The guy who's on that screen, which is what he's covering. Trump going, I wish her well. And Greg's like, what a high character move. She didn't have a friend. She's lonely. You know when you're at a party and you want to keep hanging out with your friends, but you see that person over in the corner and they're not even drinking and they're sad and they're bored and no one wants to talk to them because they smell a little bit weird. And so you go, you know what? I'm going to stop hanging out with my friends and having fun. I'm going to go over and make that person feel loved. That's like Trump, but with the notorious sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. He felt bad for her. She didn't have any friends. No one likes her in prison because she trafficked children. So, sorry, let me play this full clip. Watch this.
Well, Ghislaine Maxwell didn't have a friend in the world. He could have easily gotten away with saying, what the media wanted to hear. But he didn't. And I find that remarkably human, and it's telling, and it signals to me that there's something else going on here, and that it's an injustice. It reminds me of when President Trump, among anybody in the country really in public office,
where are we going?
He would talk about Ashley Babbitt. Do you remember that? And he gained nothing, really, politically, from talking about that. I mean, he scored points with me and those who know the truth about Ashley Babbitt, but there are a lot of folks, Republicans even, a lot of folks did not want to talk about January.
Sorry, I'm trying not to interrupt this. I know some people get upset with that. I just think you need context. If you forget, Ashley Babbitt is the person who was storming the Capitol, and as she was trying to get through a window, an officer shot her and she died. Tragic. And it's tragic how Trump's lies led to that happening. They try to blame the police officer who's supposed to defend the Capitol. And so they turned her into a martyr, saying that she was just doing something patriotic and got killed for no reason. Obviously, it is really sad. I feel bad for her family. It is the fault of Trump for getting them to believe something that was a lie that caused them to storm the Capitol. And Trump having no political interest in doing that. Yes, he did, Greg. You don't even, you're so ridiculous. I want to use the meanest of words, but I'm not going to. You're ridiculous. And he had to play up the idea that anyone storming was patriotic. So of course he was going to make her into a martyr, because that justifies what he did, because he should have a guilty conscience for her life being taken because he sent her to the Capitol. Okay.
6th. He did. It reminds me of the kind of this, has the same feel. Ghislaine Maxwell, he would talk about, and he did it in a certain way. Now, folks, I know people are horrified when I say there's a possibility that this individual just might be innocent. But think about it. Who's told us about her? The most reviled institutions in America, right? The media and the Biden Justice Department, right? They did the heavy lifting on this stuff.
I know that you don't like lib, soy boy, gay, etc. people like myself, but please let your hatred of the traffickers be more superior to your hatred of us. Just because we don't like Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't mean that you have to like her. Please. It's the own the libs thing has gone too far. Don't support her to own us. And the lower third Chiron is Trump is always one to show compassion when others don't. How about compassion to her victims? How about he shows compassion to them? This is the brain melting ideology that says if the media, if CNN doesn't like Ghislaine Maxwell because of the evidence and because of the victim's testimony, if the New York Times isn't really hot on Ghislaine Maxwell, if Luke Beasley, he's definitely thinking of me, he's obsessed with me, he's always talking about me. If I don't like her, then you must like her. No, I also like drinking water, Greg. Are you going to stop doing that, please? And in response, headlines like this: Epstein victims slam Trump administration for giving Ghislaine Maxwell preferential treatment. They moved her from a more secure prison to a minimum security prison in Texas. And I was hearing about it, someone reporting in it like it's the comfy version of a prison. We obviously already talked about you have classes and you have all this free time and you can gab it up with your fellow prisoners, and it's a much more comfortable minimum security prison. And one of her justifications for arguing for that, and then Todd Blanche, Trump's former personal attorney, current deputy attorney general, giving that deal to her after their meeting together, where they weren't allowing anyone else in except for, I think, Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney. So whatever was talked about, you're not going to be able to have a witness to the claims. Then they set up this deal. She goes to the minimum security, and she was saying, oh, I need to be moved because I'm afraid for my safety, which I would be afraid for my safety too. But you went to a prison where you're less secure, a minimum, the least secure of as per prisons. From the standpoint of prisons, this is the wrong option. But it is closer to her family. I don't know. Maybe she puts on... Let's just bring out the board. What the hell? Let's say she puts on one of the officers' outfits and like in a TV show, she does the little cart and then she slips out the back. I don't know. I have no evidence that's going to happen. I'm just saying, what are we doing? That's preferential treatment. And let me just put some faces and voices to what's being discussed here. This first victim of Epstein's said this.
It actually makes me sick that she is claiming to be a victim or have any form of innocence. This is the same woman that grabbed my arm and forced me into a room to be raped by Jeffrey. It was brutal. And I remember limping from Jeffrey's bedroom to the bungalow where the survivors slept. And I remember looking at Ghislaine, and she had this evil smirk on her face. She knew by forcing me into Jeffrey's room that I was there to be raped, and she enjoyed it.
I mean, the extent of the evidence about she was the one facilitating. So you have Epstein, who's doing the atrocious acts to people, and then his sidekick, who's bringing him people to do those acts to. She knew what she was doing. You then have Virginia speaking to this.
She led me up a staircase and we made a right into Jeffrey's room, and Jeffrey laying naked on the massage table. Jeffrey lifts his head up, looks at Ghislaine. Ghislaine looks at him, and I call it the Cheshire cat grin because his face just went like this, and it was like a nod of approval. He said, take off your clothes. I had these little girl undies on, like little hearts on them, I remember, and they were laughing at that because they like that. The younger you look, the better it is. It turned very sexual, and it was abuse straight away.
So I don't know what Greg Kelly's doing, and why did I say that? I know exactly what he's doing. The way that they see Trump getting out of this is purporting that the final bombshell is released in the form of Ghislaine telling the whole story. And Ghislaine is not just going to do that for no reason. She has a benefit from that. And just immunity for what she says there to not be prosecuted for further crimes is not enough. And so she needs some form of clemency from Trump. And their justification will be, well, we had to get the full story. So we commuted her sentence to get the full story. And hey, look, she happened to say only negative things about people that Trump wanted her to say it about. You have Ellie Honig, a really level-headed legal analyst. Also, if you're feeling like, are we getting into conspiracyville here? Even he is going, there is something going on here.
Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, the number 2 person at the whole Justice Department, goes personally to Florida, spends 9 hours speaking with her over 2 days. Now, we don't know yet what she told him. I think we will, and we can talk about how that'll happen. And now here we are, less than 2 weeks later, and she gets this enormous benefit. Now, we don't know exactly why. Could be for security reasons, but it's a benefit any way you cut this, right? Do you think if Todd Blanche, who, by the way, I should note, Bureau of Prisons is within the Justice Department. Correct. Do you think if Todd Blanche was dissatisfied with something Ghislaine Maxwell said or had doubts about her credibility, she would have gotten this benefit? She would have just got bumped from low security to minimum security? That's an enormous benefit. I promise you everyone behind bars federally right now would love the same thing. So you can already see where this is going. This is the first delivery of a benefit to Ghislaine Maxwell. And by the way, keep this in mind when we're thinking about Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony and her credibility. Who does she need to please here? DOJ and the guy who has the ability to pardon her. So I think we can see what's starting to take shape here.
It's right there. a crisis of justice like you rarely see in front of everyone's eyes. So that's the Maxwell part of this. Something that should and will, which is why we're trying to call it out beforehand, obliterate this presidency. And hopefully he won't follow through with what seems to be taking shape. But now for the other few clips from this same interview. Here's Trump. We're going to talk about in a different segment today, just what's going on between his ears. And this is one of the examples that should concern you. He doesn't know math. He doesn't know percentages. He doesn't know what the hell he's saying when he promises that drug prices are going to go down a zillion %.
And I think we're going to be very successful fairly soon. We'll have drug prices coming down by 500, 600, 800, even 1,200%.
Guys, if you reduce a drug price by 100%, the drug now costs $0, right? Because 100% is all. Picture a pie. 50% would be half of the pie. 100% will be all of the pie. Now you don't have any more pie. So it's understood that if you start getting into negative prices, he's promising. So let's hold him to this promise. No? He's promising in whatever world's going on up here that drug companies are going to pay us for their drugs. Does that sound great? Yeah, sure. Pay me for some Tylenol. But it doesn't. Something would have to really change about drug companies, from what I understand about them, for that to be
and I think we're going to
hunky-dory with them. And we just move along. I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later, so I'll try not to rant too much about it, but we just move along. People are like, yeah, whatever. He exaggerates. No. Now he's saying things that don't even make mathematical sense. Ugh. I even put into ChatGPT, can you explain what he thinks he's saying here? And my computer blew up. Okay? Now I had to get a new computer because I asked ChatGPT that question. Oh, and then you have him still ranting. So he got rid of the Bureau of Labor Statistics head that is in charge of figuring out what's going on in the jobs market because a jobs report came out that he didn't like. Authoritarian stuff. No. Let's not react to the information. Let's just get rid of that information and tell everyone everything's going great. And he continues on that here.
The markets today are up and down. Today is tariff day. Today was an important day, but you've had another incredible week that doesn't get the attention it probably should. There were several A-list events this week. The GDP numbers were great. Right. We had a surplus in June. Inflation is, I think, 2.4%. What's your message to Americans?
It's not. It's 2.9, I think. But it's not 2.4.
Americans who might be concerned about paying more, perhaps even in the short term, for things that they need.
Well, before the message, I have to say that I think that these numbers were incorrect today. Not that they were horrible. I've seen much worse numbers than this, but right. I think that these numbers were incorrect today because nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw the smaller numbers not only announced, but going back and restating her numbers because she made a mistake. You know, that was the bigger number.
No, that's not even, it's not one person, one lady just going, I think it's 76,000 jobs we've gained. They're surveying and then they estimate, and then as they get more survey data in, they update their numbers for the past months. Exactly figuring out how many nationally in the entire massive country that we have jobs were gained right after the month concludes is a very difficult task. And so you're getting the data you have, that's the initial assessment, and then as you get more data, a few months later, you update it. That makes total sense. And I love how he goes, I mean, the numbers were fine. They were great, really. I mean, they were really great, but they were terrible. Well, they were great, but I was unexpected. But they were wrong, but they were low, but they were high, but they were good. They were fine. It was fine. And then he says, no one expected this. We did. You didn't, because you're running around saying everything's perfect. And the metrics that I hate saying this, it sounds so much like it's a partisan statement. It's not. The numbers that you are proud of are just carryovers. Of course, when you're delaying your tariff policy every other day, the full extent of the damage that you're doing is, number one, not going to be seen now. Number two, not going to be seen if you keep delaying these things because people are adjusting, realizing, oh, maybe he'll never actually go forward with his entire tariff plan. And number three, aren't going to wreck the entire economy today. And so a lot of the stronger underlying realities of this economy are because of what Trump inherited. So where's JD Vance, right? Cole is producing today because Jaden has the day off. So we don't have a soundboard, but that's when it would play, what the hell happened to JD? I'll tell you. Amid all of this, you know what JD's thinking he's going to spend his August focusing on? Getting to the bottom of UFOs.
The other thing is there are stories that I am particularly focused on, in part just because you talk with your buddies about it. Like, I'm obsessed with the whole UFO.
Wait. Did you say there are stories you're particularly focused on because you talk to your buddies about them? Well, that's the first problem.
In part just because you talk with your buddies about it. Like, I'm obsessed with the whole UFO thing. What's actually going on? What were those videos all about? What's actually happening? I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but we're only 6 months in. We've been very busy. That's actually the August recess is in part me going to try to dive to the bottom of the whole UFO thing from last year. So
I mean, you got to have us back.
Okay.
There's something so funny about that. The August recess, like during this break, I'm really going to get to the bottom of UFOs. What about all the other stuff? Like, hey, why was that jobs report so bad? Hey, what's going on with Epstein? Hey, should I try to influence Trump not to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? No, UFOs. Which I've said before, I don't care. I'm sorry to those of you who do. I get why it's interesting. And you know, mathematically, it feels like it's an inevitability that there's life outside of this planet. And so it's so cool. Or have they been here yet? Are they going to come here? Are they going to look like us? Probably not. That would be weird. But I don't want to spend my whole life hoping about that. And then, most likely, let's be honest, we're going to have the same understanding of life outside of this planet-ish by the time I die. So, until I'm making love, yes, hear me correctly, to an alien, I don't really care. Until an alien, now this is a different scenario, don't combine the two scenarios, that'll get weird, is pointing like a more advanced version of a gun at me and saying, we rule this planet, right? While we're making love, weird situation that's developing, then I don't want to, I don't care. Eventually they'll make their grand entrance, or they won't, or it's me. Maybe I'm one. Maybe that's why I tell you not to focus on it. And maybe they're able to shapeshift, but ultimately more pressing things. And if they have the capability to wipe us out, they'll just do it. They'll just do it, and I'll just accept it. Yeah, that's right. I'm an alien bitch. Share your thoughts in the comments.